Gautam Buddha's journey to enlightenment was deeply influenced by various spiritual traditions, teachers and philosophies including Samkhya, Yoga, Jainism and Upanishadic thought. While he ultimately developed his own path, understanding his teachers and influences helps us see how Buddhist thought emerged. After renouncing his princely life, Siddhartha Gautam sought out the best spiritual teachers of his time. The intrigued Gautam went to Alara Kalama, who taught a kind of early meditation at Vaishali. Alara Kalama taught Gautam meditation, especially a dhyanic state called the sphere of nothingness. Alara Kalama was master of formless meditation. He taught Buddha meditation and deep absorption states related to formless realms. He was a hermit and meditation teacher of a Śraman tradition, a spiritual seeker not associated with Jainism. Buddha mastered these techniques but found that they did not lead to ultimate liberation nirvana. Realizing the limitations of Alara's teachings, he moved on to next teacher, Uddaka Ramaputta, master of higher yogic states. Uddaka taught him even more refined meditative states, reaching the state of neither perception nor non-perception. However, Buddha again felt that this was not the final answer to suffering and continued his quest. These all teachers were from the Sraman tradition, a movement of non-Vedic society. Did Buddha learn from Jainism? While there is no direct record of Buddha studying under Vardhaman Mahavir, the 24th Jain Tirthankar, the similarities between Jain and Buddhist doctrines suggest a strong philosophical connection. Ahimsa, or non-violence, was a fundamental principle that Buddha deeply embraced, yet it was already a core teaching in Jainism long before his time. The concept of karma and rebirth too had been well developed in Jain philosophy, with Buddhism later refining these ideas while retaining their essence. The monastic discipline of Buddhism, as outlined in the Vinaya Pitaka, bore striking similarities to the strict ascetic practices of Jain monks. However, while both traditions emphasize detachment and liberation from worldly attachments, Buddha took a different path. He rejected the extreme asceticism of the Jain way, advocating instead for a balanced approach, a middle path that neither indulged in excess nor demanded severe self-denial. Jains believe in an eternal soul, Atman, that is liberated, while Buddha denied a permanent self, Anatta, and focused on impermanence. After leaving his teachers, Buddha practiced extreme asceticism for 6 years, nearly starving himself. He followed severe penance like Jain monks but realized that self-mortification was not the way to liberation. He then discovered the middle path, avoiding both extreme indulgence and extreme asceticism. Meditating under the Bodhi tree, he attained enlightenment and discovered the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path. There is a big Jain religion influence on Buddhism, adopted ahimsa, karma theory, and monastic discipline. Was Buddhism truly an independent philosophy, or did it evolve from an older spiritual tradition? Is yoga's true origin rooted in the Śraman tradition? Let's delve deep and uncover the truth. The Śraman tradition, one of the world's most ancient religions, laid the foundation for many of the principles we now associate with Buddhism. Yoga as a spiritual and meditative practice has deep roots in the Śraman tradition. While elements of yogic practices can be traced to the Vedic tradition, the Śraman movement played a crucial role in developing meditation, asceticism, and self-discipline, which later became central to yoga. Buddhist and Jain monks sought nirvana through meditative absorption, a concept that became foundational in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, written later around 200 BCE. The yoga tradition, as we understand today, especially its emphasis on meditation and self-realization, owes much to the ascetic and meditative practices pioneered by Shraman philosophers, Jain Tirthankars, and Buddha. Before Siddhartha Gautama became the Buddha, he was influenced by the Shraman tradition, where Jainism also played a crucial role. The Shraman philosophy emerged as a powerful non-Vedic movement around 800 BCE, challenging the established religious order. It was in this period that Parshvanath laid the foundation for what would become Jainism, marking a shift in spiritual thought. This transformation gradually altered the meaning of Dharam. Once a cosmological and philosophical concept, it was now being redefined within institutionalized religious structures. Over time, the original essence of Dharam dissolved, giving way to a new narrative, one that framed Dharam as religion in the way it is commonly understood today. The concepts of non-violence, karma, moksha, and asceticism were deeply rooted in Sraman and Jain philosophy long before Buddhism emerged. In fact, historical records suggest that Gautama Buddha's teachers were disciples of the Shraman tradition. So, why did Buddhism spread globally while Jainism remained largely within India? Join us as we uncover the forgotten link between Jainism and Buddhism and explore how one of the world's oldest traditions laid the groundwork for a new spiritual movement. Watch till the end and subscribe for more insights into Vedic history, Dharam, and lost knowledge. Shraman tradition, the lost path before Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism, the non-Vedic spiritual movement. The Shraman tradition arose as a non-Vedic movement that existed alongside the Vedic religion, the historical predecessor of modern Hinduism. The Shraman tradition significantly influenced the development of non-Vedic philosophy, giving rise to both orthodox ascetic and heterodox Gnostic schools of thought. Shraman philosophy rejected the authority of the Veds, questioning the ritualistic practices performed by Brahmins. Brahmins are a social and spiritual class in Vedic society. Shamans sought liberation or moksha through individual effort rather than through sacrificial rituals and priestly mediation. Non-violence was a central tenet, particularly in Jainism and Buddhism, emphasizing compassion for all living beings. The rejection of animal sacrifices distinguished Shramanic traditions from Vedic practices. Shraman teachings emphasized karma, cause and effect, and samsara, cycle of birth and rebirth, as fundamental principles governing life. This non-Vedic movement started somewhere in 800 BCE. Liberation was seen as freedom from this cycle, achieved through ethical conduct, meditation, and wisdom. Many Shramans practiced severe austerities to detach from material existence. Some lived as wandering ascetics, rejecting social norms, wealth, and possessions. The most well-known Shramanic traditions are Jainism, Buddhism, and Ajivika philosophy. Jainism, founded by Parshvanath and later formalized by Mahavir. Parshvanath was the first teacher in Jain religion, is believed to have attained absolute knowledge, freeing himself from the cycle of birth and death. 270 years later, around 5th century BCE, Mahavir revived and reformed Jainism, which was on decline. Jain monks practiced extreme asceticism, with Digambar monks even renouncing clothing. Liberation was attained through self-purification, strict discipline, and non-attachment. Unlike Jainism, Buddhism rejected extreme austerities and focused more on meditative insight and wisdom. Buddhism emphasized the concept of anatman, meaning no permanent self, distinguishing it from Jain and Vedic thought. Ajivika philosophy, founded by Makhali Goshala, core teachings were determinism, belief that everything is preordained, and human effort does not alter fate. Opposed karma-based liberation, instead advocating for surrender to cosmic destiny. Unlike Jainism and Buddhism, Ajivikas did not emphasize ethical action as a means of liberation. Impact of the Sraman tradition is that concepts like karma, rebirth, and moksha, originally central to Sraman philosophy, were later integrated into Vedic Hinduism. It shaped Indian spirituality, encouraged meditation, monasticism, and ethical living, which became core to later traditions. The Sraman tradition was a powerful spiritual movement that reshaped Indian philosophy. By rejecting Vedic authority and focusing on self-discipline, non-violence, and direct experience, it laid the foundation for Jainism, Buddhism, yoga, and later developments in Hinduism. This path challenged the authority of the Veds and the dominance of Brahmin priests, promoting a way of life based on self-discipline, meditation, and renunciation. The Shramans rejected elaborate rituals and focused on direct spiritual experience, seeking liberation through self-effort rather than sacrifices and priestly mediation. The tradition emphasized concepts like karma, rebirth, and non-violence ahimsa, which later became core principles of Jainism and Buddhism. Jainism, led by Mahavir, carried forward the Śraman ideals of strict asceticism and complete non-violence. Buddhism, founded by Gautam Buddha, embraced a more balanced approach, emphasizing the middle path between extreme asceticism and indulgence. Another shamanic sect, the Ajivikas, believed in a deterministic universe where fate governed all actions. This lost tradition not only influenced Jainism and Buddhism but also reshaped Vedic Hindu thought. How did Emperor Ashoka help in spreading Buddhism? Emperor Ashoka the Great, 304 to 232 BCE, played a crucial role in transforming Buddhism from a regional faith into a global religion. His patronage, missionary efforts, and policies helped spread Buddhism across India and beyond, making it one of the most influential religions in history. Ashoka waged a brutal war against Kaling, where over 100,000 people were killed. Witnessing the devastation, he was filled with remorse and converted to Buddhism, embracing non-violence. He vowed to promote peace and morality instead of military conquest. Ashoka stopped animal sacrifices and violent rituals. He embraced Buddhist monks, built monasteries, and funded religious activities. He commissioned stupas and monastic complexes across India. The Sanchi Stupa is one of the most famous monuments from his reign, where Ashoka inscribed Buddhist teachings on rock edicts and stone pillars across his empire. These inscriptions, written in Prakrit, Greek, and Aramaic, spread Buddhist philosophy to different regions. Ashoka sent Buddhist missionaries to various regions like Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam, influencing local cultures. He also sent envoys to Greece, Egypt, and Persia, where Buddhism interacted with Greek philosophy. Ashoka organized the Third Buddhist Council at Patna, India, and helped purify Buddhist teachings and standardize the scriptures Tripitaka. Emperor Ashoka's efforts led to the long-term survival and expansion of Buddhism. He is often called the Constantine of Buddhism, comparing his role to Emperor Constantine's impact on Christianity. Ashoka transformed Buddhism from a small Indian sect into a global religion through missionary work, royal patronage, and ethical governance. Without his influence, Buddhism might have remained a minor tradition like Jainism rather than a major world religion. Why Jainism remained largely confined to India? Jainism follows an extremely strict path of asceticism, particularly emphasizing non-violence to an extreme degree. Jain monks do not travel in vehicles and must move only by foot, limiting their ability to spread the religion across vast distances. The strict dietary restrictions and rigorous lifestyle made Jainism less accessible to the masses, making it difficult to attract large-scale followers outside India. Another key difference was in their approach to conversion. Buddhism actively sought to spread its teachings, engaging in missionary activities and adapting to local cultures. Jains believe that each soul must seek its own path to liberation, and their focus remained on individual spiritual discipline rather than widespread religious propagation. Jainism, with its rigid monastic rules and unchanged doctrines, did not easily adapt to new cultural environments, making its expansion difficult within India also. While Buddhism flourished across Asia due to its adaptability and state support, it declined in India due to the revival of Hinduism, loss of royal patronage, and foreign invasions. Jainism, on the other hand, remained in India but never expanded globally due to its strict practices and non-missionary approach. How Judaism formalized the Torah in the 5th century BCE. After the Babylonian exile in 586 BCE, Judaism became more structured with the compilation of religious texts and the centrality of the Second Temple in Jerusalem. The rise of Judaism as a structured religion with sacred texts and centralized governance coincided with the influence of Buddhist missionary activities that spread across regions, promoting organized monastic traditions and written doctrines. In 5th century BCE, Ezra, a priestly scribe, reinforced Torah observance, shaping Jewish identity through public recitations and strict adherence to religious law. Around the same time, Nehemiah, a governor appointed by the Persian king, worked on rebuilding Jerusalem. Following the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 AD, Rabbinic Judaism emerged, emphasizing Torah study. Oral traditions, which were later codified into the Mishnah and Talmud. This transition mirrored the structured religion of Buddhist orders, further shaping Judaism into a text-based, centrally guided religion. This channel explores the depth of ancient Indian traditions, from Vedic wisdom to the evolution of Jainism and Buddhism. Uncover the truths behind Dharam, history, and spirituality through well-researched content. Stay tuned for insightful discussions on religion, philosophy, and the timeless legacy of Hindu religion.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video. Another video is coming soon. Share this to your friends. Press subscribe button and like button.